And to your point, I mean, for everyone that isn't going to be running a traditional political campaign, but it could look like organizing their first protest.
Hi, welcome to CU Live. My name is Walker Evans. I'm the co-founder of ColumbusUnderground.com. Joining me today is Morgan Harper, a lawyer and former congressional candidate. Hi,
Good.
Morgan.
You got it.
I got it, yeah. Thanks for joining us today.
Nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk a little bit with you about your background, what got you interested in politics, what caused you to want to run for office.
Yeah.
When did you first kind of get the itch for politics? Was that at a young age or more recently?
Well, more that I got the itch for justice at a young age, I would say. I grew up here in Columbus, and I got a scholarship to go to Columbus Academy in Gahanna when I was 10, and that woke me up to just the reality that based on your neighborhood or your school system, or if your parents have money, can really determine your outcomes. And that just struck me as unfair, led me to pursue a career in policy law to do something about it. And I got to the place where I realized ultimately the people who have the calls on the policies are politicians, and I might have to become one of those at some point. But what that would look like, I never really knew. But I launched the campaign for Congress because I felt like even before pandemic and this movement that's happening now, that we were at a crossroads and we really needed more grassroots representation at the federal level to address the issues that we're seeing at our community level.
Yeah. I mean, none of the issues that have been really brought into light in the past couple of months are new, right?
No.
I mean, it's just more of an emphasis on some of these things than maybe there were before to a broader spectrum of people. Is that fair to say?
I think that's really fair, especially take, for example, the police brutality, police violence issue. I mean, that is not a new issue to Columbus, Ohio in any way. And I think that's what we really need to do in this moment. We have a lot of new people coming into protests and this issue and learning about the issue, which is great. That's when you reach a critical mass to actually do something about it. But we also need to be aware of what's already come before this to make sure that we take advantage of this moment to get the most impact out of it.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to politics, I think getting involved in something. A lot of people feel passionate, they feel energy about this sort of stuff. But can they make a bigger difference at like a city level or municipal level, state level, federal level? Like where do you think? What kind of guided you to run for state office versus something else?
Federal. Well, I chose running for U.S. Congress and Washington federal level because
federal level.
Oh no, it's okay.
State representative at the federal level.
Yeah. No, because it's the level where you have the impact over the whole country.
Right,
and for a lot of issues around economic inequality, which, some of the reasons why I pursued a career in public policy in the first place, you can do a lot of good work at the local and state level. But if the federal government isn't stepping up and providing resources or really focused on addressing these issues, then you're not going to be able to tackle them at scale.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's needed now for us as a country.
Yeah. Do you think there's a downside to running at that level, just in terms of fundraising and getting your name out there and the amount of work that you have to do to kind of build that campaign?
It is a lot of work, but at the same time, I think there's more attention on Congress now than there has been in a very long time, maybe call it a couple of decades. And so you can gain a lot of traction if your campaign gets that momentum and raise the resources. And people do view it as a really important position once you get them focused on it. So they may be willing to be more likely to donate, and you can have a national fundraising base in addition to getting support locally. So that proved to be the case for our campaign. We ultimately had over 8,000 individuals who donated. And
Nice.
That can be a difficult thing to get if you are running for something that's more local or more state. But I certainly encourage people to be running at every level of government, particularly if they're committed to being grassroots candidates.
Yeah. I'm curious if, if some people maybe have always thought that, if you're going to advance up through the political spectrum, you maybe start at a more municipal level and then go state and then national. But it seems like over the past couple of years, there's been some fairly young people running and winning offices at the federal level all over the U.S. Do you think that's kind of spurred some people's interest in running for those offices, kind of getting involved where they want to get involved instead of maybe paying their dues, going up
Exactly.
the chain of
Yeah.
command.
No, I think we need to get out of that mindset that this is a paying a dues exercise, that you become a city council person because you then want to become mayor, because you then hope to be in Congress.
Stepping stones.
Yeah, stepping stone. It's that then makes you into a career politician.
Right.
And I think that's how we found ourselves in this mess, because we have people that are less concerned with how can I use this position to accomplish as much as possible, and more in a mindset of how can I do as much as will allow me to continue to get to the next position,
Right.
Without alienating
constantly
people.
running for office.
Yeah. And to me, that era has got to go.
Yeah.
I think we're seeing it change on a daily basis, that people don't have patience for the politics as usual anymore. And we have to have people that are looking to be in office to just do as much as possible to help people.
Nice. Any specific advice you'd give to somebody, considering or on the fence about getting involved in politics, whether it's running for office or just being more active in their communities?
Yeah, just go for it. You have a voice, use it, and believe in yourself, because I know when I launched the campaign, a lot of people were like, oh, this is going to be the end of her. No one's going to pay attention.
You're still here.
Still here. Hopefully, employed very soon. And I believe, and I've heard from people, inspired a lot of folks to use their voices. And to your point, I mean, for everyone that isn't going to be running a traditional political campaign, but it could look like organizing their first protest. And all of that is good, because we need everyone in every lane as active as possible to get our political system and country back on track.
Nice. Cool. Well, thanks so much for taking the time today.
Of course. Yeah. Thanks for having me.